Good day, everybody, and welcome back to our episode of Splints and Whiskey. My name is Liz Arts, and I am certainly excited to be here with two of my dear friends, Joe Kiff and Ryan Jones. And Joe, Ryan, and I have known each other now for, gosh, about really almost a year probably, and have talked. These guys are awesome, and I'm going to have them introduce themselves to you, but uh, I would be upset with myself if I didn't say that it is EMS week, that while we're recording this, and I couldn't think of two better people to have on the show during EMS week. So happy EMS week to both of you guys. Um, and thank you for coming on to the show. It's really a pleasure to to have you both.
To
I
be here.
appreciate that. Thanks for having us on.
Yeah,
Thank you
you
so much.
bet. You bet. You guys are the utmost professionals, so this is really exciting. And then they're not just trainers, instructors, owners, and operators, but they also wear the cloth every day. So they're out in the field, and that is these are our kind of people to listen to, and our listeners are going to love you guys and your story. So as promised, I'm going to have each of you introduce yourself, and then we're going to just have a talk about kind of what we're seeing in the field and training. What do you think that we can do better? What are some things that you're focusing on with your company and just in your respective houses, if you will. So we're just going to let the conversation go where it goes, and I'm super excited to be with two experts. So we'll start with you, Ryan. Will you just tell me a bit about yourself and your background and then what you're doing now?
Sure. So Ryan Jones, co-founder of company is Prometheus Foundry, and that is an EMS education company. Uh, I have been myself personally in EMS since 2009, and I got into that kind of by a fluke. I was laid off from my job where I worked in banking, and my neighbor was in EMS, and for years, he tried to get me into EMS. I'm like, wow, I can't justify a pay cut. This is going to be about a 50 to 75% pay cut wouldn't happen. And
Yeah.
then it just so happened I got laid off. And I was like, you know what? This is the opportunity. So got into EMS, started off as an EMT basic, and then quickly found out, hey, I really enjoy this. Became a paramedic, worked in 911 for, I don't know, more than probably close to 15 years or so before I moved over to my position now, which is where I'm an education manager for a ER. So my job there is I get to go in and educate the nurses, the physicians, the medical staff, so radiologists that are there, the paramedics that are there, kind of keep them up on their skills. As my CNO had said, we really wanted a paramedic in this role simply because it's more of a paramedic's world in the ER. And
Yeah.
she's right. I mean, nurses go, I mean, yes, it's emergency medicine. Look, nurses know a ton more about a lot of things than what paramedics do. But in an emergent situation, paramedics know a little bit more in their world to help with that airway, to get some of those other things under control. So it's been an eye opener and a great learning experience for everybody. It works out well. So that's been a lot of fun. And we started our company here, been going strong since about 2022, trying to
Mhm.
help with the education in our area to make sure that there's a lot of quality that's out there, which is great for the community. It's what they deserve, and it's what the students deserve, right? They go to school, they pay
Yeah.
money, they want to get something out of it. They want to come out feeling like I know what I'm doing, I feel confident. And that's kind of where we are with that. So that's a little bit about me, and that's what I've been doing since about 2009.
Yeah, that's awesome. Awesome, awesome background. I love that you came from banking. That's perfect.
And then,
Okay.
prior to that, though, I mean, you talk about a shift is I was in the Marine Corps for 8 years. So,
Oh,
yeah, yeah, right. So, getting out of the Marine Corps, I went into this transition of corporate world. So, how do you go from, Marines into banking? So, it's just kind of a quite a career shift that was there. And then back to, kind of my roots where I am now and, serving the community and, our folks around here.
oh, that's so cool. That's so cool. Thank you for your service in all aspects. That's
Appreciate that.
awesome. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Joe, tell us about you, besides the fact that I know that you're very funny.
Oh, I don't know about all that, but my name is Joe. I like long walks on the beach, and no, uh, no. My name is Joe Kiff. I've been in EMS since 2000. Uh, Prior to that, I had the wide variety of name tags and hairnets. when I needed those. I've been you can throw a dart at the career chart, and you probably hit something that I've done
Yeah.
between pawnbroker and bouncer and educator and youth minister for a while.
Cool.
I was in then fast forwarded to about 2000. I was working for a residential facility for mentally and physically handicapped adults. Most fun job ever. I got to destroy their schedule on the weekends. It was a lot of fun. We did nothing but fun stuff Saturdays, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So they're so exhausted by Monday morning. They're like, can't wait to get back to work. That was a great time. But when I was out there, we had a huge wreck across the street from our facility. So I called 911 because that's what you do. And we waited half an hour for an ambulance and then
Wow.
half an hour for a helicopter. And so by the time the aircraft and everything else, when it left, I went up and talked to the medics that were on the truck and, hey, how can I do what y'all do? Because I don't want my guys here to have to wait for half an hour for help. Why can I, how can I do that and make that happen? And so less than a month later, I was enrolled in an EMT class. I got halfway through the EMT class and I thought, this is cool. Can't do anything fun. So I want to do IVs and intubations and give some meds. So I did the advanced EMT class right after, which was EMT intermediate. So January of 2000, I got my EMT. By March of 2000, I was an EMT intermediate. By August of that year, I got my EMS instructor because the paramedic class didn't quite make, and then I got my paramedic about a year after that. So since that time, I've worked 911 since
Wow.
2000. Still do 911 today. I was Ryan's FTO for a while when he started with our previous company, which is a lot of fun. That's how we met. So currently, I'm doing 911 for a small fire department on the west side of Houston. I do events. I am a paramedic instructor here with Prometheus Foundry. We do. I'm also program manager for a high fidelity sim lab, a mobile high fidelity sim lab here in Houston through University of Texas. And I also
Oh,
work for a law
cool.
firm doing chart reviews and other stuff.
Wow, wow. So you got a full plate too.
I
And you
stay
did all
busy.
your training. You did all your training right in a row, right?
I did
You
my
broke up
basic
a
and
little
my
bit there.
intermediate back to
Hmm.
back. And then we did not have enough students with that program to move forward with the paramedic program,
Hmm.
which was disappointing because I love my instructor. I'll go and drop Vicky May. She's awesome. Uh, she was one of the, she had a huge impact on my life. Love and respect her. She's a doll. She runs that program still at one of the local centers. It had such big impact. Uh, because we had a delay from for paramedic, you don't actually have to be a paramedic to get your EMS instructor in Texas. And so I got my instructor later on that year while I was still in intermediate and didn't get my paramedic for the year after that.
Hmm.
Uh, and then it was really interesting because out of that paramedic class, we finished in August of 2002. And the instructor said, hey, you've really got to take your state test by the end of the month because after September, we're going to national registry and you will not pass the national registry test with the
Oh,
class we
wow.
just gave you. Oh, exciting. So,
Yeah.
so I've never had national registry. I got my state license before registry was a thing. So I've always been a Texas state paramedic.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, so you guys are in Texas. I was trying to remember because we've talked so much about all these different things when we've been together, back and forth. Ryan, you've helped me with so much stuff, for that I've needed when I've sought out help for, gosh, for people looking for requirements or taking classes. And we've sent some people to you, and I know that you've helped them a lot, so I really appreciate it. But I forgot which state you were in. So that brings me to, let me ask you a question about, um, something current right now that everybody's really talking about and utilizing, and that's whole blood in the field. Are you guys doing that now? And you both smiled.
Oh, yes.
Because I,
Oh,
I I
yes.
thought, I was wondering if Texas was, one of the states that was allowed to do it yet.
Oh,
I have
no.
some feelings. Go ahead.
Yes,
Yeah. Oh, good.
yeah, we've been doing it for quite a while. And Joe, I mean, he was supervisor when our last agency started using it, and we were one of the first agencies within Texas, I believe, to start using whole blood in the field. But I'll let Joe talk a little bit more about that. I was just a lowly in-charge paramedic. He was a supervisor out there running point kind of on that. So I know Joe's got a bunch more background on that that I know he can spill a lot of knowledge on that.
Yeah. Let's talk about that.
So yeah, we were one of the two services. It was Cypress Creek EMS, which is no longer around, and Harris County ESD 48 were the two services in Texas that were carrying whole blood products. I think that was 2016. We were the first two side by side agencies. We began carrying it at the same time, exactly the same time. And the pain point for me was I would have been the first one in the state to give it, missed it by that much. The packaging that we were sent by the blood company was incompatible with the blood wise we had.
Oh,
And
wow.
so we didn't have a bag spike. So we ended up calling Harris, the ESD 48, and said, hey, make sure your bag stuff is set because it won't work. So they ended up, we would have been giving it during Hurricane Harvey. I would have been the first one the first, didn't do it. But we were able to call them and they were able to get that corrected, and they had emergency bags brought back out, and they ended up giving it a couple of days later for a medical call. But yeah, we were
Wow.
the first services in Texas to carry it and use it
That's
on a regular
amazing.
basis.
So since 2016, that's like, I mean, so you guys are really, you were way ahead of the curve.
Oh yeah, yeah. That was
They
one thing
had,
that's
yeah, we had great medical direction. They, and ESD 48 does as well. We had a medical director that really did kind of push the envelope, and we were a lot of the things that folks do on a regular basis now, we were doing 10, 12, 15 years ago.
That's awesome. Give me some examples of some other things like that.
Since about 2012, we were the first paramedic service in the country to wear body cameras.
Ooh,
Yeah, so we partnered up with Axon about 2012, 2013, somewhere in there. And so it started out with just a supervisor program for the supervisor group was wearing cameras. In fact, it was really, it's looking back, it was fun because the company we worked for mandated safety glasses on every call. So you glove and glasses with every patient, and the Axon cameras, the Axon One, I think it was mounted to the glasses. So when you're watching your videos, you really
mm-hmm.
don't see how much darting around on scene you do until you're watching the videos and go, okay, now I need Dramamine. Hang on just a second. It's like you're watching a tennis match. And then we end up getting later on the body cameras, but we moved from the supervisor group to the field staff and to the in-charge paramedics to the attendants. So by that time, by it being a couple of years in, all our staff was wearing them, and there was a lot of resistance from a lot of folks, including myself, thinking, "Oh man, that's going to be a drag. I've got to watch everything I say. I've got to watch everything I do." Well, we should be watching everything we say and do anyway. And I will tell you up front, I still sing to my patients. I still tell jokes to my patients. That doesn't change anything in the world that I do with my patients. As long as you're treating your patients with respect and giving them excellent medical care, you should treat them as people. They're people first anyway. So that's not even an issue. And from
Yeah.
the field staff side, for every one, aha, I got you moment, there was 100 like, oh my God, thank God that thing was running. Oh, it was, I mean, it's been amazing for game day footage. There's no way to beat the body worn cameras. I'll not endorse any brand. That's who we started with. But the body worn
Right.
cameras give so much information. We've got such great training videos that you'd never get any other way. You'd never have any opportunity to get that any other way. When you have an employee that you had to counsel, you know what? Let's just watch the video real quick, and you tell me what you see. And
Yeah,
so
it's awesome for coaching.
have that medic go back and watch, and they're like, yeah, I probably could have done that better. Cool. All right. And that was it. We didn't beat them over the head with it. How can we make this better? That was the whole goal, is to make our patient care excellent. And that was the reason we had them. And that's why I think that I'm still a huge fan.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You know,
Um,
where I live locally, they're discussing body, they're still not using them fully, and I think that they're trying to implement them. They've been doing whole blood for several years, and even they are still in the top 2%. of people deploying whole blood in the field,
Mhm.
which is, unbelievable how long how much experience you have with it. Um, but I know it is such a hot topic, but yeah, the body cams for paramedics, we're just starting to, people are, and they're going through those um, discussions that you're having, and really, I love what you said when you said, I still sing to my patients. Like, the most important thing you're going to do on that, in that rig at that point, is your bedside manner, being with your patient, and just being yourself and treating them as a human being. And but I could imagine how I could see how it would be intimidating. But I guess when you started, Ryan, you had them then, right?
They started them with the supervisors as soon as I got on with the agency.
Mm-hmm.
So I worked maybe a year without needing to wear it myself and then
Mm-hmm.
put it on. And just like you said, I mean, one, it's change. Nobody ever likes change in the industry, right? So you have this
Right.
change and you have it on there. Of course, everybody wants to think of the negative of this. Oh my God, I got it. Like Joe said, I've got to watch what I say. Why do you have to watch what you say? Right?
Yeah.
Are you saying things that you shouldn't be saying then, to these
Right.
patients? Right?
Exactly.
Be who you are that's on there. And then it's fine. I mean, it didn't take me long to get used to it. The most frustrating thing is it's technology. Does it always work the way it's supposed to? No. So now you're trying to fiddle with it, to get it going while you're on there. And that's what you're more worried about than anything that you say that's on there. What I liked for it was the training capability afterwards. Because
Yeah.
when you are in the heat of something, especially if it's an urgent patient or there's something extremely stressful going on, maybe you don't see everything because you're focused on something else. So you can go back with this video, watch your own video, but oh, I did miss that, or that's what that looked like. Okay, now I see that. Okay, now I'm going to make notes and I know how I'm going to do this better. Or maybe you have an instance where things aren't going so great and there's maybe some threats around you. It's a good thing you do have those cameras on, because now it is not, it's what my word against their word is. No, here's the actual proof of what has occurred now. And it has helped a ton of people in this respect. Whether you look at law enforcement, you look at medics, no, here's the actual footage of what really occurred, not a clip of something that happened, 10 seconds into this. Well, what happened beforehand, right? So it's there. Once
Yeah.
we got to that point and people started seeing this, okay, this isn't, all these negative things aren't happening. People caught on to, like, okay, yeah, this is great. This is really good. They liked being able to go back and review that. I liked being able to go back and review that footage. They liked it. They liked using it for that training capability, because some things you're not going to see all the time. And now we're going to get to see some of these conditions happening. This is real. This isn't just from the textbook. This is real life. This really occurred. Like, oh yeah, so that's what it looks like, not a perfect textbook version of what to look for in something. Right. So it was huge. It was great. I enjoyed having them on there. I guess maybe enjoy isn't the best thing to say, because nobody likes extra equipment necessarily, like having to put it
Right.
on. But it was a nice fallback to have for me to go back and have and to be able to view later on. So I did like that aspect of it, which was good. It was more beneficial than hurtful, in my opinion.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so glad we've had this conversation, because this is really a hot topic. It's really a hot topic right now. And I know with the guys that I work with locally, yeah, for them, there's all these pros and cons that they're bouncing around. But I just think in today's climate, it would be it would be no question for the training, because I love coaching.
Mhm.
So I'm a salesperson, so it's like, we had to videotape ourselves. My background is pharmaceuticals before I got into tactical medical sales, and we would have to tape ourselves. And when oh my gosh, you know how that is, you guys. When you're watching yourself back, forget it. And I feel the same way about the podcast. When I watch myself on the podcast, I'll catch myself doing things that I never want to do again, like with just touching my face in weird ways, or
Mhm.
just things like that. But
Right.
yeah, we're always our worst critic. But when you see it, you're like, "Ooh, I do that." But for the coaching aspect, no question, I love it. But now with all of the mass casualty, I know there's always been mass casualty type things, but just the more and more prevalent they become, Oh man, or how litigious our society is and has
Hmm.
become. Yeah, I'm really happy that we fell into that,
Absolutely.
that
I
you
mean,
guys love it.
and when you think about it nowadays, you are more than likely being recorded by some sort of device, whether you know it or
No
not, whether it's a
question.
CCTV or you got people out there, they got their phone, oh, let's film this because they're looking for something, right? So it's there.
Right.
You're always being filmed. So why not take that power to yourself? Film it
Mm.
yourself. Like, great, I've got nothing to hide. Here we go. Here's what I did. I'll take that to the bank any day. This is how I performed, with my patients versus somebody that wants to take out their phone and film me and just show their view of a very specific period of time, like a Polaroid picture. It's like, no, let's do the whole thing.
Yeah, that's so true. Well, and so that brings me to because of your tenure for both of you guys, um, and now that you run a training company and you're still active in the field, both as educators, how do you how different is I know that I think I read a quote by Socrates that I loved when I'm a youth group director too. And so I was and it said something like it's just by Socrates, but it says something like kids these days they'll never know what it was like, and it talks about something like that you would hear one of us saying today, but it was written in like 532 AD or something like that. So
Right.
of course, we all say that the old generation is different than the newer generation. But when you
Hmm.
bring up this situation with the phone and really where we are in society now that everything is being recorded, and then we have all of these such unrest and everything in the streets, how have you felt that your students have changed? Um, like that you have to teach differently now because the younger generation is different. I found that in the military when I meet with some of the guys, like when they talk about their post-COVID like their COVID graduates on, um, maybe it was harder to train them, even in just being building that brotherhood like you'd have as a Marine, because they were separated for a while, or they just said that like a lot of the classes are different, that the students are different now. Have you felt like you see that in in your houses or in your definitely with your students now that you're teaching? Have you noticed a difference? And then if so, tell me about that.
Oh yeah. We both have definitely noticed a difference. I mean, it's whether you want to call it, the COVID effect or a generational thing. And every generation says the same thing about the newer generations. Oh,
Yeah.
you have it so easy. You're so much different than us. Well, of course they are, right? Because yeah, of course, time changes. Technology is there, but society as a whole, it just is different. I mean, just look around right now. People can't say what they want without fear of offending anybody and being canceled or being labeled something. And it's just stating their own opinion. But if your opinion doesn't match as there, right? So, I mean, that just is society as a whole. But when you start looking at students and they came up through that, or they had all this online education, and they're
Yeah.
not really interacting with people anymore. They're going straight to the keyboard, to say things. And then when they do have somebody in front of them that tells them something that they don't like, and it, hurts their feelings or makes them feel a certain way, then it's like, oh, okay, wait a minute. Now you have to go into some sort of damage. Like, wait, what's happening here? This is real life. Like, you're going to meet people, especially in this industry, that don't like you, or they're going to say things that you don't like. And you can't just back off from that all of a sudden. You can't
Right.
not treat your patient, for that. So it can present challenges in class for those students that haven't been able to be around people that will tell them that, hey, you're not doing something correctly, or you are doing something wrong, or telling them something which the student may feel is mean or in an aggressive manner or something of that nature. So as instructors, we have to find a way to make sure that they're getting the coaching and the education that they need and presented in a way that they're going to accept it, right? And still get the educational value of real life when they are presented with something that is going to distract them from the task at hand, right? Whatever
Mm-hmm.
that might be, whether it's controlling some bleeding or controlling an airway or something of that nature there. It's trying to be very politically correct with all of this because I have to understand I am in a different generation now as well. So we all learn a different way. And it's really trying to bridge that gap. And there really is a different way that Joe and I went through, our paramedic education and our EMT education. Even the way I went through boot camp is different than the way they do boot camp
Right.
now. I mean, what, they get cell phones now, I think, and get to talk on the phone. I had one day and it was right before graduation and it was the Sunday before graduation. Okay, you've got the day, go make a phone call if you want. That's it. Aside from
Mm-hmm.
that, it was handwritten letters. Now it's, oh no, I think they're making like TikTok videos or something while they're in boot camp. It is a
I know.
totally different world, than what we're used to with things. We're trying to make everything psychologically safe for everybody, but the world is not psychologically safe.
Yeah.
It, it
And when we're in there, when they're in their job in the emergency situation, it is not going to be politically correct, right? I
it is
mean,
not,
or
no.
yeah, so you have to learn how to teach them. Um, you got to build them up to break them down back to build them up to, but all that is like, that sounds
Yeah.
complicated.
It is. I mean, both Joe and I have been called everything but our names working in EMS. I
Oh
mean,
Mm,
yeah.
there are just people that you just show up and for whatever reason, they do not like you. You could not have said a word. And that's real life. It's going to happen. It's
yeah.
going to. And what better place to learn that and learn how to deal with it than in a classroom that is a safe environment? Right?
Yeah.
Because we have coaches, we have the instructors there that have been through this. Okay, let's back down because you're in the black now. Let's get you back down into the red, right? Let's figure this out. Okay, you got to learn that you can't let everything throw you so far off your game that you're not going to be effective, right? And that the classroom is the place to do that with your educators and your instructors.
Yeah. What are your thoughts, Joe?
Well, a couple of things. I think that we mistake we mistake compassion for caring. I want so badly not to hurt your feelings. Okay, my job, because I care, I'm gonna have to tell you when you make mistakes because I don't want you to make those mistakes in the field.
Yeah.
And my job, because I care about you and I respect you and I want you to be awesome at this, I've got to make you a little bit better. And I can't do that by, oh, it's okay, little flower, you just screwed that up.
Right.
Because we can't make those kind of mistakes and let that go. And if I did let it go, it's because I don't care about you, because I don't care what you're doing. I don't want you to be successful. It doesn't matter to me either way, but I do care. And so we are going to have those tough conversations. And I don't always like having those tough conversations. They're not fun. And I like fun. I think back when Ryan and I worked together a long time ago, he had a trainee that called me and said, "Do you know what Ryan made me do?" Uh, okay, let me turn off my camera. No, and I said, "No, what did Ryan make you do?" He made me do push-ups. Like, yeah, all right. Well, what happened? Well, I wasn't wearing my safety glasses and I didn't wear my seatbelt, and he had said something to me a couple of times before, and we got to the ER, and he made me do push-ups, and I'm like, uh-huh. Well, why would he think that's okay? Ask him who his FTO was. Did he do them with you? Yeah. Ask him who his FTO was. Because when he screwed up, we did push-ups, right? That's fine. Well, I can't do that. I have, and but this is not saying names. She's got POTS. She has medical. She said she has a medical condition that if I exert myself and I stand up too fast, I will pass out and fall down. So, like if you're doing CPR, for example, if you were doing CPR on a patient and then you went to pick up the backboard, you could potentially fall and hurt yourself or the patient. Maybe. Oh, I'm going to need you to go get medical clearance before you come back to work.
Awesome.
So having those tough conversations. I mean, and kudos for her for speaking her mind. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Probably wasn't the right direction. I was probably not the right direction she was hoping for. But that's it. And it's because it's not because I'm mean. Well, not just because I'm mean. And it's certainly not because I don't care. I love what I do. I have so much fun at work. I hope I'm doing this in another 26 years, that I'm still rolling strong with it, which everybody else is going to really not want to see me coming, because by that time I'll be, what, 82 or so. And so, yeah, that's, but I mean, but I love it. And I want everybody
Then
to be
you'll really be
successful in it.
recorded. Then you'll totally be.
So you say that we had at this place where Ryan and I used to work, we had one of the oldest paramedics in the state, or licensed paramedics. That was Bill Carey. He passed at 92 years old. I think he still had his paramedic certification. And one of my best friends was Cotton Weaver. He was the founding member of Spring Fire Department. In fact, they just named their training center the Cotton Weaver Training Center for their fire department. He was one of the original fire chiefs back in the 50s. And he was still working with me. He'd come out and ride for 12-hour shifts on the supervisor car up until, I think, right at 2020, right when COVID hit. He was still in the ambulance with me. So 6 years ago, so he would have been mid 80s, 84, 5 years old,
That's
still as
awesome.
an EMT. So
That's
no,
awesome.
I think that's totally plausible.
Yeah.
And he was one of the ones you talk about having a tough conversation. When I first started where we had been, one of the first things he said to me was, "I know where you used to work. You can't do that here. You're just a mean son of a gun." And because he cared, he had that hard conversation, and that hard conversation changed the trajectory of my career. And so having these uncomfortable conversations, even though we don't want to, it's not because we don't like you, it's because we do. And we want you to be better. We want you to enjoy this. We want you to be successful. We want you to have a good career. But to do that, we have to have these tough situations. We have to have these tough conversations. As iron sharpens iron, you got to be tough with this. You've got to strengthen and build each other up, and that includes, Ryan and I have times that, hey man, I don't agree with this, and okay, well I don't agree with that. Cool, let's talk it out. Let's walk through it and let's figure it out. You have to have those conversations to build yourself up, to make yourself better. And if you're approaching these things with the right attitude, with the right perspective, and you're delivering them with the right perspective and the right attitude, I think it's very beneficial. I think as educators, even when it makes us unpopular, I think it's the way to go. I think it's doing the right thing is always going to be the right thing, no matter how it's perceived. If it's the right thing, it's always the right thing, no matter what. And I think
Yeah.
those tough conversations and making folks a little bit uncomfortable in the classroom to make them ready for, we've talked about stress inoculation. To come
Mm-hmm.
out and have those students, we want to stress them out a little bit, like Ryan talked about. We need you to not be up here. Here's fine. We can't deal with here. You need to be right back down here. So when they go on scene and they have, 4 school bus accident that was all loaded up with the PDs and nuns, healing
Yeah.
hemophiliac PDs and nuns, then you open the ambulance door. Yeah, all right, let's go. And then go on and do your stuff. And you're going to do that because I knew this was coming. My instructors told me that I was going to have a day that, okay, you can take a breath and go, well, this is going to suck. Let's start biting off to every bit of this we can. We'll start making small bites, and we're going to work our way through it. And that's part of having those tough conversations and making those students at least a little bit stressed. And I think if we're not
Yeah.
making them a little bit stressed, we're not doing our jobs right.
Oh man, I couldn't have, I totally agree with you. The stories that you hear of people's hardest days are exactly what you just seems like what you just described. So that's part of your training too, is to like raise that level, keep the stress inoculation high. Tell me a little bit about your training. Tell me about that.
So here recently, we went through a stress inoculation course, and what it was, this is, they've been in class for a little while here. And this is, keep in mind, we don't stress them out at a high basis every single day. There's no
Yeah.
learning in that environment, right? So this is a planned, scenario training that they're going to do. And they knew about it, at least a month or so in advance. Like, hey, this course has come up. In fact, some of them were even looking forward to it. They're looking up other videos of what other people have done. And they're sending us videos. Oh, we can't wait for you to do this to us. And all these crazy things. It's like, okay, we're not going to do that. But okay, I like where your head's at. You're getting into it.
Yeah.
And so what it is, it starts off very simple is that they go in and they sat across from an instructor, and they had to talk through an entire airway management plan,
Mm.
just one-on-one. Here, just talk us through it. No noise, nothing going on, no stressors other than you're just talking to an evaluator. And from there, it progressed. There were a total of 6 scenarios that they did. And then the next one they went into, they had a scenario and an instructor's there, and it's in an enclosed room. So it's a classroom they go into, and hey, here's your patient. It's a simulation, and end up needing to do a full a DSI on this patient. So they're going to need to intubate. So manage the airway. That was the successful point there. From there, they move out, and now they're outside, and they've got a bunch of kids playing patty cake over them and yelling. And hey, you got a patient that has gone into cardiac arrest. You got to do something. You got to fix the airway, manage this airway. And so they have these stressors of kids doing that. From there, they move on to the next one, where it's a very real thing is you've gone into somebody's house and all the lights are off. So this just shows you, so the stressors we're putting on are true stressors that can really happen. We weren't relying on loud music being played or some, strobe lights going off or anything like that.
Mhm.
We were relying on things more, purposely designed of more of what could really happen. So yeah, we've gone into dark rooms before. And what do you do, Liz? What do you do when you walk into a dark room? What's the first thing that you do?
Yeah, generally look for a light, honestly.
Right, you look for a light, right? These students, right? Some of them didn't. They're like, oh, I guess we're doing this in the dark, because they were so hyper focused on wanting to do. Others that are like, they took a breath, like, oh, let me turn the light on. And they
Yeah.
turn the light on. It's like, yeah, illumination. Nowhere did we say you can't, like, we tell you, here's a scenario, go in and do what you would normally do. So some of them, they're trying to manage an airway in the dark, and they end up needing to do a cricothyrotomy on the patient.
Yeah.
So we had that set up for them. From there, they move out, and that was to where Joe was managing the station, and it was outside. And now it gets into some physical exertion, things that they truly would have to do. I mean, if you look out anywhere on the internet, you'll see memes about the EMT basic or the paramedic that is all loaded up with all this gear that they've got to
Yeah.
carry up flights of stairs, right? We all laugh about it. So he's got bags of, hey, this is representing equipment. And I think it was, like a 50-pound bag. And he gives them options, pick this bag or pick this bag. They don't know the weight, but they look different in size. So they're thinking, oh, let me pick the small one. They both weigh the exact same. So Joe picks up the other bag, and he has them go through little cones. And it's to mimic you. You have to go a certain route, because if you're going to a helicopter, you can only go a certain way, or that's a really bad day for you, right? I mean, there's a reason
Yeah.
you've got to go. So you just had to walk, several yards, to get through this. Come back. We're going to get them cold. So they go into a bucket with a barrel that's ice water to mimic cold. We're in Houston. We can't mimic the cold, other than we're going to have to make you cold by getting wet and cold. So they're in that. And then it's, here's your patient, manage this airway. And, hey, the fire suppression system went off. So now there's a garden hose that starts spraying them to kind of distract them from that. So now they're getting sprayed with the garden hose because the fire suppression system went off.
Yeah.
Well, there are things there for them to say, oh, well, let me use this tarp that's right in front of me to cover myself from the rain or from the water. Some of them did, some of them didn't, because they are too stressed out on what's happening, like, because now they have all these new distractors that they've never thought about. It's like, oh, everything's going to be peachy keen when I go on any call. No, there's extraneous things that can happen to you, right? People yelling, kids playing patty cake, people shaking an ambulance because their loved one is in CPR, and you're trying to do that in the ambulance, and they're shaking the ambulance because it's a mob mentality now. Okay, but I've got to focus on what needs to be done, but I still need to be aware of the dangers that are around me, right?
Right.
So we have that going on. Joe's telling them, hey, your patient saturation is, 95%. Like, okay, I'm going to get this tube. It's 80%. It's 30%. But they are too stressed out to not hear these numbers. Are so like, I'm going to get this tube. I'm going to get this tube. So Joe's got to stop them. Like, okay, let's talk about what you just did. Like, did you hear these? You said that oxygen saturation was that level? Yeah, in fact, here's the video. Like, oh my gosh. So From there, they go to a capstone, which is where our medical director was and our other instructor. And now it's two of them because you really work together as partners when you're out on the ambulance. And it's a whole scene. He's got a truck that's there. He's got empty beer cans. He's a drunk father that had his kid in the back. And so now they have to triage because there's a couple of patients, figure out how to manage that airway while you've got this drunk father also walking around, which is true. This can really happen. I mean, it's on the side of the road that's doing this. What was fantastic about this is at the end, they did their evaluations, and then we had a full debrief. Now, after every scenario, there was a debrief with the instructor. Right. And then we did a corporate debrief, and we asked them, every single student in there was like, this was amazing. I just learned so much about myself. I didn't even realize how stressed out I was actually getting until they started to look at that video and the instructors were there telling me, yes, this happened. Like, oh my gosh, you're right. That was there. So having our instructors, the professionals they are, to stop, make sure they weren't causing any harm to anybody. He's like, hey, let's stop. Let's think about this here. Now progress. They were able to see that. They felt so confident in themselves when they were done. They like, this was the best day ever. This is amazing. Yeah. And in fact, the very next class day, they had asked Joe, who was teaching that day, they said, hey, are we going to do this for the medical scenarios now too? For the medical part? And of course, we hadn't had that plan. And Joe's just like, we will make that happen. Like, absolutely, to go through 100%. All that. I mean,
that is awesome. That is awesome. Every listener who is an instructor is going to steal that exact that exact course from you. I hope you know that. That is killer.
I've got videos. I've got right. Pictures. We were pretty proud of it.
Yeah, it's great.
And the fact that what got it for us was the students at the end, after they had just been through all of this stress, to say, I learned so much from that, right? To get that feedback, it was what got us. We're like, hey, we're doing this right. That's wonderful to hear. It's when you don't get any feedback, or the students are like, God, that was dumb. I didn't learn anything. But to have every single student say, yes, this was, thank you for this. This was great. I learned so much about myself. I'm ready for this. Like, great. That's what we want. That's what you want to see. You want to have that confidence. I mean, by the nature, you're going to somebody's worst day of their life in this job. Right. You don't know what you're going to walk into. You got to be confident with what you're doing. You've got to be able to take control of that scene and know what's happening to prevent any harm to yourself, to your partner, and to the patient as well. Right? And that's what this was built on, so they can see that and understand that you know a lot more than you think. Written tests are one thing, right? People get test anxiety. Oh my God, can I do this? Can I do that? But to perform under pressure, to do those psychomotor skills, to have that where you actually have to critically think, I will take somebody that can perform that way over somebody that can master a written test almost any day of the week. Right.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I love the scenarios you chose, because when I hear about stress inoculation, I hear about the smoke and the strobe lights and the over the top, like some of the stuff that's just completely over the top, just to really, really stress out the person, but not be real life scenario. Your stations were something that realistically would happen. It wasn't just like so over the top that it threw them off for them to not gain knowledge. They'll remember that. That's built muscle memory like crazy. That's awesome.
Which was the entire goal. I mean, when you sit there and you're trying to calculate your meds to perform a DSI, and then all of a sudden you get some new information like, oh, hey, this patient has a musculoskeletal disease. Well, there goes my sucks. I can't use succinylcholine for that now. Okay, now I've got to figure out what am I going to use instead, right? When you get this new information, that's a real stressor. But having somebody sit there and bark in your face like a drill instructor,
right?
Can that happen? Sure. More than likely, what's going to happen is there's a problem with medication. You got to figure out what this med math is. You've got to figure out what meds you're going to use, right? That's what's going to have that effect, for them to be able to remember.
Yeah. What are you thinking, Joe?
Well, one of the coolest things, I think one of the most interesting things for the conversations we had after. Well, Liz, what do you not know?
What do I not know? Oh my gosh, everything.
Well, okay, and that's where we're at. We had one of the students that said, "Hey, before because you can ask the student all day long, hey, what do you not know yet?" Man, I don't know. I've got
I
no
don't
idea what I
know.
don't know. Neil deGrasse Tyson talks about astrophysics. He's like, yeah, you could you know fill the universe with what I don't know about the universe. And so from those scenarios, one of the students came up and said, I thought I had this. I was 100%. If you had asked me Thursday, asked me Friday about what I knew about airway and how confident I was with airway and how confident I was with my decision making, I had it. And he said, Saturday, nope, I don't know nearly as much as I thought I did. Here's what I need to work on. Here's the gaps. Here's how I fill those. Because we're that those scenarios highlight those gaps. And if you haven't been shown those gaps, I don't know what they are in each individual person. I can't find them. But when I can throw you in situations where, okay, oh, there was a tarp there. I could have just covered us up. That'd have been nice.
Right.
Or you're so focused on getting this ET tube. Well, I've got an eye gel right there. I've got a rescue airway. I've got NPAs and OPAs and a bag valve mask. Oh yeah, bag valve squeezy thingy. That still works. Huh, son of a gun.
Mhm.
So stuff like that. We get so hyper focused on. They're not having a plastic deficit. They're having an oxygen deficit, and we've got to manage that oxygen deficit. And that's what we need to work on. And so we have other plastic things you can use instead of the ET tube. It doesn't have to be the tube. But we
Right.
get so focused on because it's sexy. Intubation's sexy. Oh, it's so cool. I'm going to drop the ET tube. Oh, yeah. But there's other ways. I mean, there's other ways to skin the cat.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love that. I love that course. And so now you're incorporating it into you're going to incorporate that into your other part,
We're gonna have to
like
make it
other
medical now.
exercise.
And we got some negative feedback about the course, which is okay. And please add my email address. I'll give it to you at the end. You can tag me on it, and I'll address any of the concerns I hear. I'd love to hear them. Uh, but yeah, no, I feel like I've got to do one for medical now because students have asked for it. They got a lot out of it. We hadn't really planned on it initially, but I'll be doggone if I'm not going to do it now.
Yeah, I bet. I bet. And that's so rewarding to you. I mean, that is so rewarding to you as an instructor to get that feedback and to see the light bulb go off in their head like that.
Mhm.
That's what I love about simulation sales. I mean, that's what I love
Yeah,
that, when I'm able to it's rare for us to get feedback, but it's way down the road, but to get feedback, that's why I like to go out in the field all the time because I get to see the soldiers and sailors and airmen and then my EMS and paramedics. I get them to see them practicing. I told you guys before we started recording that last week I was able to be hands on and I was able to play the part for 5 seconds, like I was at a station where I was able to help. But it was so awesome to watch these all these people getting a recert for TECC, and but they didn't work together. They didn't know each other at all. They were at a conference and they were just getting their recert, and so they really did have to work together to make sure that this patient made it and was transported, from point of injury to where they needed to go, basically hospital. But it was great to see that and then see them communicating and working together. And then that makes us all realize why we do what we do is so fun. I
definitely.
mean, and you guys are still treating patients, but so you see it every day as well. But for me, I don't get to do that as much. So so it's fun every now and then to hear about stuff like this. So tell me about your school, about the other classes that you teach, because I want to make sure that everybody knows about your program, and because I'm sure that people are going to want to reach out to you.
Oh, we'd love for them to. So we teach everything from, ECA or EMR, and then EMT basic, and then up through paramedic. This is our first paramedic cohort, which just started in February. And then aside from that, we teach all the AHA classes, so CPR, BLS, ACLS, PALS, and then NAEMT classes as well. So the TECC, PHTLS. We do first aid classes. We're stop the bleed instructors. We've put together bespoke courses for some organizations within our area, some companies. Like there's a lot of plants that are around here, so we've gone down there, taught
Yeah.
bloodborne pathogens and first aid for them, as well. Put all that together. We've had other fire department and other agencies around us that have contacted us like, hey, we'd like to get some training on this topic. Like, okay, sure, we'll put a package together for you, coming out there and get your guys and your gals, all certified with that. Joe, I'll let him talk about this. He put together a course several years ago that haven't seen really anywhere else, that he's had a lot of traction on here recently. Some folks reaching out to him for. Joe, you can tell him about that course.
So, you've been around a bunch of first responders. We're not always the healthiest bunch. So we can get a little squishy around the midsection sometimes. And so one of the things we looked at, gosh, it had to be 7, 8, almost 10 years ago now. We looked at a down firefighter course. So when firefighters go down, which happens several times a year across the country, the first time we had one go unconscious, we were looking at trauma shears, and trauma shears does not take off bunker gear. I don't care what brand you have. There's one set that I think is made. It's one and done. You can use that. So you should cut off one bunker coat, and that trauma shear's done forever.
Huh.
But we started doing a down firefighter class, a CPR class. So it's like skin the rabbit CPR. How do you do continuous compressions on a down firefighter while they're bunkered up, while they're packed up? What do you do with the mask? How do you get them out of that? How do you get them off the X and continue compressions without putting them at risk, without stopping compressions, because we know that's essential? How do you get them available to do the AED? If there's an AED on the pumper, almost guaranteed. So how do you set that up? Okay, I need you to go get the AED and find the medics and bring them over here too. Let's get the guy off the X. Let's move him out to a safer area. Here's how to undo the bunker jacket. And again, I'm not a firefighter. I don't play one on TV. I've never been one. That fire's never been my thing. So for me trying to address that, I don't know how this stuff comes off. I've never had to put it on. It's never a thing.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So here you are playing around with buckles and snaps and Velcro and who knows what else. And if you're doing that for the first time under stress with somebody that you work with, I mean, for us, like the department I'm with now, we're combo fire EMS.
Mm-hmm.
I have dinner with these folks. We watch TV together. This is your second family, and to have that level of stress and trying to think how I'm supposed to pull stuff off of this person, this family member, while they're down, and trying to get them ready for new CPR. So we did this whole course on how to effectively. It's a 3-man process. How you get them off the X. Have one person managing the head. You have one person removing the Velcro. You've got one person that does nothing but compressions. You do not stop compressions no matter what. And they get everything set up, and it's just how to get bunker gear off while you're doing that CPR. And you can continue all of it without any delays, without any stops, and actually without tearing up any equipment. And the whole thing just comes out in one piece.
Oh, I love it.
So we did that. In fact, the only time I've ever done a TikTok video was that, and it got, I think it was over 100,000 views. And then
wow.
we did it. And then there's one department here locally that I stop in every year or two to go back in and, hey, I'll try this recently. Can we try this? Make sure it works. Make sure you know how it works. Because on scene, when one of your buddies has gone down, is the last place you did thinking, man, okay, now how did we do that before? You want to practice this on a regular basis.
Right.
But yeah, I'm really proud of that. That was very well received by the departments we've worked with. We're going to try to formalize that a bit more in the very immediate future. We've had some more interest in it recently. So, but yeah, it's there's nothing to it. There's nothing magical about it. There's nothing. But if you don't know how the stuff comes off, it's not coming off easy.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that I wouldn't have even ever thought about, but the trauma shear thing, I'm shocked about.
Oh no, that stuff is so think of what the bunker gear is designed to do. It's keeping them safe in a building where there's structural collapse, there's jagged concrete, there's nails, I mean, from attic boards, from rafters that come down. So it's designed to protect them. So yeah, it's puncture and cut resistant.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's some specialized techniques to get them out of it. And with that, I have not done this with law enforcement yet, but we need to. That's something else we need to discuss at some point soon, because you can't do adequate compressions through a vest.
Right. I
Right?
was just thinking that. Yeah.
Because the whole thing is when you're doing chest compressions, you're doing chest compressions on the sternum directly, and you're trying to focus all that downward force on one little small area of mass. Well, if you've got the vest is going to disperse that energy. It's designed to disperse energy. So when you're
Hmm.
pushing, everything goes out and away instead of just going straight down. So having that is something to do for when we talk about the plants. We talk about the chemical plants. Those guys wear specialized gear as well. They've got special respirators. They've got special overalls and like Kydex, whatever, not Kydex, Kevlar is what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Specialized or Nomex, something fire retardant and stuff that there's specialized gear that the plant workers wear. So instead of having this general broad CPR for everybody course, there are some specific industries that we really need to focus that down on. And fire was just the first one I started with.
I love it. And it's not to say that anything is the most important class, but it's like that sounds like the most important class when it's your brother. I mean, your brother, your
Sure,
sister,
yeah.
that, no matter where you are, whether it's law enforcement or safety, or of course the firefighter. I mean, that I have always wondered how hard that would be to render aid to your brother. I mean, I couldn't.
It sucks. That's flat
Yeah.
out. There's nothing else. And that's again one of the things we talked about a while ago. When you get on the scene, hey, this is going to suck. This does currently in this moment very much now suck. Doesn't change the fact that I've got a job to do. Doesn't change my priorities. It doesn't change. Doesn't change any of that. You've got to put that off to the side and get done with it. And then after that's done, you pass it off to somebody else. Oh, the other ambulance crew's coming in. Or you pass them off to the doc, to the ER that doesn't know them. Okay, that blows.
Yeah.
That was not a good time. But being able, you've got to be able to face that tragedy and keep on rolling.
Hmm.
My son was a year and a day old, and he stopped breathing for 7.5 minutes.
Oh,
And so I'm doing rescue breathing. Hi, my name is Joe. I'm a paramedic. Nope, the ambulance would be great. The fire truck, whatever. I know you've got questions. I'm kind of busy. Never lost a pulse, but he was respiratory arrest for 7 minutes. He's still grounded. He's 24 now. He's still grounded. Um, but having those experiences and being able to, okay, this sucks. You still got a task. You still got something to do. And then maintaining that task until somebody else comes in to help you with that task.
yeah.
Part of what that's the training you need. That's what we want to provide.
Yeah. And I know you're faith-based yourself, and but how do you leave, um and this could be when you're training, and then this could also be in your day job. Um how do you how do you how do you
Oh, I'll help you
debrief,
out.
like, mental
I even
health
know.
wise? Yeah. Okay.
Um, I know how do you take that work jacket off and leave that jacket at work?
Yeah.
Um, you don't all the time. At least I don't. I don't know how I could. It changes. I know Ryan's had some similar experiences where it's all the time. You go places and you're like, okay, I've got 1, 2, all right, exits good, covered.
Right.
Uh,
I feel like that.
okay, well the AED's over there. Yeah, no, I can see the green check, so it's okay. I mean, you have a hard time turning that off. As far as the emotional path, you could ask my mom; she'll tell you I'm probably borderline sociopath. Because again, I ran a call forever ago with my dad. He showed up. We were having lunch. We had a call out in Katy, Texas, and it was bad. It was a bad motor vehicle accident. They toned us out for Brookshire, which is where I worked for at the time. I said, hey, we need to go to that. So my dad was in my truck with me. We went to the call, said, don't touch anything. Don't mess with my radio presets. I don't like that. And then we get to the call, and he's a minister as well. And he's been a chaplain. And well, I feel like I need to do something. Okay, tell you what, that lady's pinned. Go talk to her. Don't touch her. Don't make contact. You can talk. You can pray with her, whatever else, and do all that. And then So we flew to, we ground transported to, and the mom, the driver that he was talking to, died on scene.
Oh,
So we do that. We get back in the car. We get back in the truck because we've still got to go back to work. We were on our lunch break from, he was working the same place out in Brookshire I was. So we're going back and, hey, how was your barbecue sandwich?
it's
And my dad says, what? Your sandwich, was it? Because mine was pretty good. We need to go back there again. He's like, Joe, that woman just died. I'm like, I know. And that was tragic. But four didn't, because we were here. We did our thing. We did what we were supposed to do. And we got four of them to definitive care, and they're all going to be okay. Those four are going to be okay. And if you focus on that one that's not, you're not going to be successful.
yeah,
And so, as much as it sucks, and it makes me sound, again, borderline sociopath, as my mom would say, that's not it. But if you focus on the negative stuff, you lose sight of all the positive things around you. And I refuse to do that. Life's too much fun.
oh, that's so good. That's so good. That's so good. How
No,
about you,
and
Ryan?
so you spend any time in this industry, I mean, you're going to have your share of, man, this was rough. And it's different for everybody. What's a rough call for me is nothing for Joe, nothing for you, right? Nobody knows what that particular trigger is going to be for
Right.
whatever call that you go on. Of course, my generation come from is you don't really talk about anything. You just, hey, you got to suck it up,
Right.
especially when man, just suck it up and you move on with that. I do think we have, progressed enough in this industry and as a society as a whole that, sometimes that's not enough though, really to suck it up. Right. So I am very thankful for a lot of the things that have come out of this, which is, you have the critical incident stress management teams that are out there now. You have these teams that are available that agencies, are employing now and contracting with, because when you do have that really bad call, not everybody can process it the same way that Joe does or the same way that I can. You have to sometimes let it out and talk to somebody that's going to be able to let you do that. And that's something that even in our own program that I'm actually really proud of is we have a director of resilience and performance, and she's an LPC, right? She's a licensed professional counselor. We have her there on our team for our program for mental health, because some of our students, they may not have been in EMS long enough yet to have some really gnarly calls, things that are going to mess with them, especially now that they're paramedics or going to be a paramedic, and their decision or indecision can affect somebody in a negative way. And they
Mm-hmm.
don't know how to deal with that yet because they've never had to do that yet. But it really is important. Like Joe wants to go on, hey, I want to focus on the one good thing that did happen. That is extremely important. But for others, that is still lingers of, no, this stuff was really bad. This was a child. I just had a baby and this, I just made this call for pediatric arrest. And all I can think about is my kid at home. And you can't function because
Right.
you've got to have, it's important you do find somebody to talk to about that, whether it is a counselor, whether it is your supervisor friend. I know, like, when Joe was my FTO, he was my mentor, still is. I can call him and, man, let me voice something, let me vent out to you. Go to your spouse, go to a buddy, go to somebody else. But I think the days of the solution being everybody has to hold it in, I don't
Right.
necessarily think that is a healthy solution for everybody, because we can see what happens when you just keep everything in. At some point, for some people, that's going to explode, and that's not a good thing, right? So
Mhm.
you focus on the good that you did do, like Joe said, but then you've also got to let the bad out at some point, whether that is go to the gym,
Yeah.
go for a run, right? Don't resort to the alcohol and the drugs that everybody else. That's a depressant. That's not going to help you with that. Find another healthy outlet for you that is going to allow you to get that out. That's the way that I deal with it. I think that people should deal with it. That's what I allow for my students to deal with. That's why we have our counselor there. And that's what I think people need to find. It's not a one size fits all for everybody.
Yeah, good word on that. It is not one size fits all. It's fun, it depends on the person, it depends on their upbringing, it depends on their tenure, which part, how long have they been doing it? The other day I was talking to these three guys who had been, 30 plus years, and they were the Three Musketeers. I mean, they were awesome. And their way of debriefing when it was really bad to one another was man, that was bad. You good? No. You good? No. I mean, it's like three
Yeah.
words, and then they just had a way that they talked to each other where
Mhm.
they had their code word sentence or something, and they said enough, but they got it out, and that was how they did it. And
Mhm.
then there were, I interviewed a guy in Kansas City who lost three teenagers in three different scenarios. One in an ER, one the next morning when he was a firefighter, and then one on SWAT. In a 36 hour, I mean, it was like a 372 hour probably situation where he was wearing three different hats and he lost three teenagers at the same time. Totally different incidences. Um, and they have a peer support group. So he pulled himself off and off the truck for that next X amount of time and did whatever he needed to do with his peer support group. But at least we're all there's something that we can all be able to vent and talk about and get it out and know that it's okay. It's still funny to me because I work with so many military people. Y'all know that. Um, and I feel like because because the podcast, we end up having so many mental health conversations that I think that it's more accepted than it is. And, or that people are great with it now coming out and not having the stigma, but it is still there for so many.
Mhm.
So I guess it's just one day at a time and us just working with each other one day at a time to help people understand it is okay, or you're going to snap if if you don't let it out. So, well, I am in love with this conversation and I want to move to Houston and go to your school.
Come on down.
Thank you. Thank you. Be careful what you wish for. I might. I'm a big fan of Texas. Um, any last words for our listeners because we're coming up on about time. So, any last words for our listeners, and then I'm going to put up your information so that whether it's in whoever in our community, they'll be able to reach out to you and connect with you, and they will, and that way they can learn more about your school and some of the things that you guys are doing because you guys are really innovative, and I really appreciate all you've taught me. So, any last words that you would like to leave our listeners before we close it out?
Hey, for those of you that are training, make it realistic. Give them some stress on there, but make sure you're coaching them with that, right? Don't stress for the sake of having stress, right? Make sure that they're ready to go out there and perform as a paramedic or as an EMT. It's what's right for the community. It's what's right for the patients. It's what's right for them, right? Don't set them up for failure. Let them experience that in a safe environment in the schoolhouse where they're going to learn and get better versus feeling like a failure and maybe washing out once they do hit the streets as their certification allows them to.
Yeah, awesome. How about you, Joe?
There are times that this job is not fun, but it's always amazing. Like Ryan said earlier, you're finding somebody that's having what could very well be the worst day of their life, and we're making that day a little bit better, and that's the goal. So we're training folks. We're dealing with the patient stress first, but we are certainly on the. It's certainly something we need to look at when we have patients that pass. We need to make sure we're focusing on their families and doing stuff that is respectful to them and helping them through the process. All that stuff's very essential, but that's all part of what makes this job amazing.
Yeah. That's awesome. I mean, you two make it look amazing and fun every day. And so, yeah, it seems fun. It's this phone call's been fun for me, or Teams meeting or whatever it is. It's been really fun for me. So
Let me know when you
I'm
can come down,
excited.
and we'll schedule a ride out. You can come hang out on the ambulance with us for 12 hours.
I would love that. I would love that, love that, love that. And I would do it. And then just watch out. I'll take selfies, a lot of selfies with you everywhere.
Oh,
Um,
bring it on.
Yeah, okay, I will. I mean, I love it. Thank you. I will accept the invitation. Okay, well, I want to thank you guys. Stick with me for a second when we close out, but I want to thank you guys both, Joe Kiff, Ryan Jones, and Prometheus Foundry in Houston, Texas is their company. And please look them up and find them on LinkedIn. Both are awesome friends and really, really helpful in the industry. I can tell you they've helped me a lot. And I was a total LinkedIn just kind of stranger, but we became colleagues and so they both helped me a lot. So I know that if you've got any questions, listeners, these two are certainly willing to reach out and help you in any way that they can, their wealth of knowledge. So, and again, happy EMS week to those, especially to you two. Happy EMS week. And thank you so much. So, thanks to our listeners. We'll see you guys again next week, and y'all stick with me. And we will get back with listeners for another episode of Splints and Whiskey. Have a great week until we meet again. Yay.